The story begins in a kingdom where a group of people argue with the demon king, Abyss-sama, insisting that they should accompany her. Though he's just a child, he's still the hero. She calmly tells them she can handle it alone, grinding her teeth in frustration. She adds that her hands alone are enough to defeat a child like him. As she heads into the forest, she removes her mask, revealing her determined face. In her mind, she knows that today will be the hero's last. Suddenly, a child runs toward her, overjoyed to see her again. With his big puppy eyes, he asks if she came to train him again. Her heart softens, and she asks how his hero training is going. He smiles and says he's doing his best. Abyss feels herself panicking but reminds herself to stay firm. By using his ignorance of her true identity, they maintain a master-disciple relationship. He believes she's his mentor, and she's ready to seize the opportunity to defeat him when the time is right. Back to the moment, the boy beams and asks if she notices any changes in him. She asks what he means, and he proudly explains that he managed 16 push-ups today, breaking his old record of 15. He flexes his biceps, asking her to check. She cringes a little but touches them, realizing he's not as weak as she thought. His eyes light up, and he's surprised by how much stronger he's getting. He continues teasing her, and she says he might have gotten stronger. This boosts his confidence even more, and he chuckles, saying he could now defeat the Demon King. His words ignite something in her, and he wonders aloud who's stronger, his master or the Demon King. Abyss sighs in relief, grateful he still doesn't know her true identity. Then he suggests they have a wrestling match to see who's more powerful. She's confident this will be her chance to defeat him. As they begin, the boy struggles and trembles, his whole body shaking. In an instant, she defeats him, realizing she held back more than she intended. The boy looks up at her with a pout and then starts crying. She tells him to calm down, explaining that the competition was unfair as he's just a child, and he will grow stronger in time. But he keeps shouting that, as a hero, he's supposed to be strong. How can he save the world like this? His tears move her, and she hugs him. She praises his attitude, saying his willingness to face the Demon King head-on is admirable. He shouldn't cry. He suddenly stops sniffling and asks if she'll come tomorrow. She smiles and assures him she will. As she sits in deep thought on her throne, her followers grow uneasy, whispering among themselves. They view her as invincible, but wonder if the hero is such a formidable foe that even she might need assistance. Some suggest they should intervene. Suddenly, she snaps at them in anger, commanding them to never interfere. The two demons nearby are struck by her commanding presence, quietly admiring her authority. She grits her teeth, determined that this time she will end the hero's journey for good. She strides back to the forest and spots Yu practicing. When he notices her, he lights up with excitement, asking if she'll teach him fencing today. She turns away, her face flushed, causing him to raise an eyebrow in suspicion. He asks if something's wrong. She quickly dismisses it, telling herself it's part of her plan to get close to him, acting as his mentor before striking when the moment is right. As he continues demonstrating his moves, she observes him in silence. Then she remarks that his hesitation will hinder his progress. She grabs his arm, instructing him to channel more power through his hips. When he follows her advice, he lands a perfect strike, feeling a surge of pride. However, in his excitement, he accidentally cuts a rope, causing a wooden beam to swing and hit him in the face. He stumbles back, groaning in pain. She gasps, rushing to him, asking if he's injured. Then she suddenly realizes how deeply affected she is. Why does she care so much? She's supposed to be the Demon King, cold and unfeeling. She can't let her minions see this weakness. Just then, a slime appears in front of them. She glances at it, murmuring to herself that it's a relief. A mindless creature like a slime won't reveal her true nature. The boy, excited, tells her to step aside because he, as the hero, will handle it. He swings at the slime with his sword, only to be knocked back by it instead. As he begins to cry, she watches with a faint smirk, thinking it's fine. This will be enough. After all, the Demon King cannot eliminate her own subordinate, and this is how the hero will fall. But then, the boy looks at her with sudden resolve, leaps up, and resumes fighting the slime. She's stunned by his courage as the slime strikes him repeatedly. In frustration, she yells at him, questioning why he's aiming so high if he can't even defeat a slime. Yu sighs and replies that he fights because he's the hero. Even if he's weak or in danger, he has to protect others. She's taken aback by such determination from someone so young, silently watching him struggle against the bizarre creature. Eventually, she steps in, briefly revealing her true power to scare the slime away. It panics and scurries into the woods. She clicks her tongue, irritated with herself for intervening. Being unfair toward a subordinate so directly could undermine her authority as the Demon King. Lost in thought, Yu rushes over in a panic, asking if she's okay. She assures him she's fine, and he suddenly breaks into tears, relieved. Without thinking, she wraps her arms around him, holding him close. Despite his small, fragile appearance, she marvels at the strength of his heart. Abyss's subordinates remain anxious, watching her appear overly distressed, whispering among themselves whether the hero this time is far tougher to handle. They're even frightened that they might actually be defeated, and this thought makes the Horned Man more nervous, especially since he hasn't even been on a date yet. Abyss herself is also uneasy due to the growing pressure among her people, realizing that she has to act. Suddenly, someone attacks the kingdom, yelling at her and calling her a pathetic ruler. The intruder is Leon, the general of the demon beasts. One of Abyss's followers shouts back at him, accusing him of disrespecting their leader, but Leon stands firm, saying he's only speaking the truth. He adds that he's always been against the idea of her becoming the Demon King from the beginning, and she doesn't even compare to her predecessor. He roars louder, claiming he could even take the throne himself. His power is so great that even the hero would surrender before him. Abyss, ignited by his words, throws him down instantly, mocking the strength he was so proud of just moments ago. She smirks, telling him that at this rate she can easily predict his future. Her words fuel his rage, and he yells, demanding an explanation. Abyss asks him if he wants a real demonstration. Her question makes his expression fall, and all the subordinates start laughing, making fun of him. He looks like a harmless kitten now. Reinvigorated, the subordinates become hopeful again about the upcoming fight with the hero and begin cheering loudly for Abyss. To the demonic race, the hero is a disaster, and it is the Demon King's duty to defend and guide them through such disasters. An oath passed down by past rulers and the most important responsibility of the Demon King. Abyss takes off her mask, now determined, and declares that she will reveal her true terrifying nature to the hero. The next day, as she walks into the forest, Yu prepares a meal for her and asks if she wants to eat it together with him. She smiles, blushing, and says yes, of course. Internally, she tells herself she can't allow defeat to take her down so easily. Yu shows her the food again, emphasizing that he made it just for her since she looks very tired to him. She's confused and asks him why, thinking to herself that she doesn't deserve such kindness. Grinding her teeth in frustration, she tells herself not to hesitate. After all, she is the Demon King. For the sake of her loyal subordinates who adore her, and as their demon ruler, she cannot allow herself to lose. She absolutely will not permit it. Because she doesn't give you a clear answer, he starts sniffling, asking if she's not hungry. She shouts, saying that of course she is, and thinks to herself how much she wants to see Yu's smiling face. He sighs in relief and tells her to eat as much as she wants. As soon as Abyss takes her first bite, she's surprised by the flavor. After finishing her meal, she returns to her kingdom, feeling exhausted. Her subordinates worry, thinking she might have returned from a violent fight, but she tells them not to worry, that she'll rest and recover soon. She can't even admit that she feels guilty for eating too much. As she heads to her room, the subordinates feel sympathy for her, thinking she's enduring all of this for them. Meanwhile, Leon smirks, thinking the hero might also be worn out from the battle. To him, this is the perfect chance. He feels pleased, believing he'll be the one to defeat the hero and claim the title of Demon King. Leon is thrashing the hero, surprised and unable to understand why the Demon King had warned him not to confront this boy, who appears too fragile. He bursts into laughter, saying that maybe he's simply too powerful. From the cliff above, the Demon King screams internally that it's already too late. Watching the brutal scene, she reflects that she had once thought she would be the one to end the hero with her own hands, but now she figures his destiny is sealed. Still, Yu stays resolute and prepares to fight Leon with his tiny sword, but he's knocked backward with just a single punch. Leon keeps hitting him, making Abyss grow anxious for Yu. She pinches herself in panic while Yu remains firm, thinking that he can't give up and must suffer through all the agony because he is the chosen hero. Now, as Leon crushes him underfoot, he tells Yu that this is the reality of life. If he holds a grudge, it will only grow into bitterness for his own frailty. Leon tells him not to stress, and that once he finishes him off, he'll do the exact same thing to his companion. He asks, isn't she the warrior girl? So he'll treat his little friend the same way. The memory of Leon beating his former master flashes vividly into Yu's mind. He begins weeping, shouting furiously, and warning him never to dare lay a hand on the people he cares about. As Leon prepares for the finishing strike, suddenly Yu bursts with strength and hits him back with his small sword in one swift motion, shocking all the demons present. Even the subordinates panic, staring at Leon's collapsed form, then start running in chaos, shouting that the hero is genuinely a menace. Abyss watches him, realizing he could truly become a danger to her and her entire realm. She knows she must resolve this now. Her eyes fixate on his little sword. She picks it up and raises it calmly. But as she's about to attack, Yu smiles faintly and murmurs that he did it all by himself, and asks her, please, to praise him. She starts smiling, watching his blushing face, and gently tells him that he's such a cheater. Then, instead of attacking, she leaves after arranging a bed for him to rest. The next day, as Abyss enters the forest, she feels uneasy about the abilities of the hero and the growing danger he poses to her kingdom. Realizing that today she must carry out her duty, she continues watching him from a hidden spot, thinking that for now she should simply monitor him. As he might still be weakened from yesterday's fatigue, she stays quiet. Suddenly, Yu shouts, telling the Demon King to stop right there. His voice startles Abyss as she begins worrying that she may have been noticed. But Yu stands firmly, yelling that he will reveal his real strength to the Demon King who torments innocent villagers. Abyss grows more panicked, thinking about the previous day's events, believing he might truly be capable of killing her. However, as he continues doing small sword tricks, she grows puzzled. After observing a few of his movements, she becomes shocked to realize he is training himself for the moment he can shield the villagers. The scene now seems deeply regretful to her, so she steps out from hiding. As soon as Yu sees her, he beams with joy. She asks him what he is doing. He explains, his eyes shining, that he is preparing to be a true hero and that he will train daily, visualizing what it means to protect others. Abyss doesn't fully understand what's happening in her heart when Yu suddenly says that he dreamed of yesterday's fight with Leon. She becomes confused, wondering if he doesn't remember. He continues, mentioning that now he can't clearly picture it, but something must have struck his head. His eyes then light up with an idea, and he begs her to help him portray the Demon King, and asks her to do it with all her strength. She looks at him, unsure if he's pretending, but to her, it appears to be a golden chance. Through this performance, she can use the moment to finish him off, so she begins acting like a terrifying creature, calling herself the Demon King, and declares that she will destroy him without mercy. He watches her, stunned, while she mutters that she can't go on. It's too embarrassing. But as she lowers her gaze, she is confused to see tears running down his cheeks. Suddenly, he yells, telling her it's a serious matter, so she should treat it seriously. She apologizes, promising to do better next time, thinking that misleading the hero like this is also part of her plan. She now starts acting as a true Demon King, declaring it is utter foolishness to challenge her and that this forest shall become his final resting place. She struggles to keep her expression under control, but eventually she snaps, shouting at him to at least react. Meanwhile, his eyes glow with joy as he cheers that she looks absolutely real. She grows confused, wondering if she's truly the Demon King after all. Now Yu joins in the performance, lifting his sword and proclaiming that he is the hero, and the hero never bows to the threats of a Demon King. She challenges him to strike her, thinking that playing along with this little scene will give her the perfect moment to attack. The only thing she needs now is just one solid opening. But she is suddenly caught off guard by his beautiful, glowing face. She shouts, saying that it's enough for today, and that she'll let him go this time. Then she leaps away, waving goodbye. Just like always, she ends up sniffling alone in her chamber. In the ancient scriptures, it describes the chosen one who descends from the skies to defeat the Demon King. He carries with him a fate, a purpose, to protect others. So he rescues the girl in the forest and brings her back to the village. But the people become scared of him and don't even allow their daughter to thank him. They whisper that he may turn into a monster when enraged, so they are afraid of him. And just like that, he is always left isolated. An elderly man offers his appreciation to him for saving the villagers, but he admits that he too is frightened. The villagers, feeling uneasy, ask him to leave. He smiles and tells them he understands and will return if they ever need him, so they shouldn't be worried. As he walks quietly through the streets, Abyss approaches from ahead, telling him that she has been watching him. He is startled to see her appear like that. When she asks him what's wrong and why he didn't respond to the villagers, he stays quiet, which makes her even angrier. She yells at him, asking if he wasn't upset. He replies with sadness that a hero should never become angry with the villagers. but she expresses her frustration, pointing out that he helped them, and they didn't even thank him properly. In response, he tells her that a hero doesn't help others for praise or rewards. Now she grows even more irritated, grinding her teeth in frustration, saying the only thing he ever talks about is being a hero, and all his reasoning is absurd. She asks why he keeps insisting on being a hero even after being treated so unfairly. As a wave of silence passes over them, he finally speaks, revealing that he made a vow to his deceased grandfather to become a noble hero. To honor that promise, he must be both strong and kind. His entire reason for living is to become a hero, but now, unable to contain his feelings, he starts to cry. She gently pats him, telling him not to cry, and assures him that he is putting in great effort and that he's truly a courageous person. Yet he still feels unsettled, saying that he must try even harder, even if it feels meaningless. Abyss embraces him and softly tells him not to say another word and just let the tears fall, because when he becomes stronger, he won't be able to cry like this anymore. And on that day he cried in her arms. The next day, she arrives at the forest, fully resolved that she must act before his abilities awaken completely. But as she scans the area, she can't find him. She calls out his name, asking if he's there, and then spots him lying down, gritting his teeth in agony and clutching his face. She examines him carefully and notices claw marks on his arm, only to realize it's the deadly venom, evil toxin. She inspects the injury closely, speculating whether it's General Leon's doing. She realizes that the toxin seems to have taken time to activate and wonders if it's also being slowed thanks to the hero's latent strength. She then smirks, thinking that now is her perfect chance. The venom of demons is something no human can counter or cure, and if she leaves him like this, he will definitely perish. So this must be his end, she sneers, saying that she will bear witness to it. But as she continues to watch him gnash his teeth in torment, flashes of the past surge in her mind, memories of her crying, apologizing to someone. She remembers sobbing that if only she had been stronger, she wouldn't have been forced to merely observe her predecessor's slow, painful death. And now she feels exactly the same way she did back then. But she tells herself not to dwell on pointless emotions when suddenly Yu opens his eyes and weakly whispers her name. She is stunned to realize that she's crying. Abyss is taken aback, confused as to why she's shedding tears. Yu lifts his shaking hand to wipe her face, and as she prepares to shout at him, he softly pleads with her not to cry. He assures her that he'll be better soon. He sighs, saying it's just a bit painful, but now that she's near, it brings him some comfort. Suddenly, another sharp pain hits him, and he begins muttering incoherently. She cries out his name in fear, thinking he's growing weaker and has now passed out. She then lifts her face, and it trembles as she makes a decision to end his suffering. She lets a drop of her blood fall onto his face. The next day, Yu awakens completely recovered, with no pain at all. The demon's poison has been completely neutralized because the venom can only be cured by ingesting the blood of a more dominant demon. And once again, she didn't have the heart to kill him. The next day, as she enters the forest, she feels frustrated, thinking that she has let this opportunity slip through her grasp countless times. But today, she is resolute, determined to defeat the hero. Yu approaches her, displaying his freshly picked harvest and inviting her to eat together with him. She clenches her jaw in self-directed anger, urging herself not to act like a coward again. She acknowledges that everything would have been simpler if only she knew his weakness. Suddenly, her gaze lands on a tree of bell peppers, and she asks him why he doesn't harvest them. He makes a cringe-worthy expression, admitting that he actually dislikes bell peppers. She is stunned, considering that this could be the hero's vulnerability. As he goes on to say that he can't tolerate their smell or flavor, she smirks internally, already planning to exploit this discovery. Then, without warning, she yells at him, claiming that he will never defeat the Demon King with that kind of mindset. He is startled by her abrupt outburst and promises that he'll try to eat them starting today. She grins, stating that now he's finally acting like a real hero. Deep inside, she's thrilled, smirking with satisfaction at her strategy. Forcing him to consume something he dislikes will push him to his emotional limit, giving her the perfect moment to strike. And when it comes to the Demon King, she always means business. After all, overcoming a weakness isn't that simple. She's not even a big fan of bell peppers herself. Meanwhile, Yu is putting in all his effort to take a single bite, and she's gearing up to launch her attack. But the moment he bites into one, he starts tearing up from the bitter, awful taste. She panics, nearly giving herself away, when Yu suddenly cries out and asks her to teach him how to enjoy bell peppers. She is confused and questions why he's asking her. to which he explains that a master must be strong and surely knows how to eat them. But judging by her expression, he guesses that maybe she doesn't like bell peppers either. She panics, realizing she's been figured out, and yells that it's not true. She does like them. In a bold move, she jumps into the bell pepper field, shouting that she'll show him how to enjoy them. He runs after her, saying he'll help as well. As they harvest all the bell peppers, she silently freaks out while chopping them, thinking she's landed herself in a ridiculous situation fueled by all this enthusiasm. But now there's no way out. She must go along with it and make sure he's stuffed full of bell peppers. Soon, the Demon King's culinary creation, bell peppers stuffed with meat, is prepared and looks incredibly appetizing. As she takes her first bite, she realizes it's her first time trying this dish. She glances at Yu, wondering if he'll like it. As soon as he takes his first bite, he's astonished by how tasty the bell peppers are. He admits he can't believe they taste this good and compliments her for being amazing. She modestly says it's not a big deal, but he continues to express that even sharing the meal with someone makes it feel more enjoyable. She smiles and agrees, encouraging him to eat without holding back. He nods, affirming that bell peppers no longer scare him. In the next moment, she is angry with herself for helping him conquer his weakness, effectively giving the hero a boost, a power-up. But then she realizes she, too, managed to eat the bell peppers, meaning she's grown stronger as well, and this time, it's a draw. The next day, as Abyss returns and calls out for Yu, telling him they should train today, convinced that this time, she'll finally defeat the hero as the Demon King. But when she finds him, he's sitting and writing something. Curious, she wonders if it's a letter. Yu shouts at her not to look, explaining that it's a message for his comrades who are going to help him defeat the Demon King. She's stunned by his words, and as she tries to sneak a peek, he insists that it's something truly important and asks her to wait outside. She clenches her teeth in frustration, unable to believe that he actually has companions too. That to her is a real danger, hiding her true identity while growing close to the hero as his mentor was always meant for this moment. She now needs a plan to stop him from meeting his allies. A sly grin appears on her face as she considers whether to steal the letter or simply destroy it. From behind, she watches Yu struggling to find the right words to write. She's taken aback, realizing he doesn't even know how to write properly. The fact that he's still pushing forward without any help from his master, writing this letter all on his own, makes her wonder how crucial this meeting must be. Her fist tightens in silent anger. Later, after Yu finishes, he steps outside to look for her but doesn't see her anywhere. She's hidden nearby, watching. Once he's gone, she slips into the cave, her eyes landing on the letter. If she gets rid of it, his comrades won't come. Problem solved. As she raises her hand to burn it, she remembers the way he struggled to write it, every moment of effort. Then Yu appears behind her. She panics, thinking she's been caught red-handed. But instead, he picks up the letter and gently asks her to read it. She stares at him, astonished, asking if it's really for her. As she begins to read, she sees him thanking her for helping with his training and asking her to join him in defeating the Demon King. He writes that he trusts her deeply. Yu smiles warmly and admits he always thought his first letter would be written for his master. She's speechless, asking what kind of tale he's spinning now. But when he tells her there's no one else, that she is the only one, she can't help but blush, her heart swelling with quiet happiness at the thought of being his one and only. Then he repeats his request for them to defeat the Demon King together. She stands there, momentarily conflicted, because she is the Demon King. But even after she returns to her chamber, she can't help smiling as she holds the letter, her heart light, moved simply by reading his words. The subordinates were worried about Abyss Sama's health and pleaded with her to rest, but she firmly told them she wouldn't, reminding them that the former Demon King also worked tirelessly without a break. Her intense aura had them panicking as they begged her to take a break, assuring her they would handle the rest. Eventually she agreed, realizing that since she was free from castle duties for now, it was the perfect opportunity to go and keep watch on the hero. After all, pretending to be his master in a disciple relationship was a tactical strategy, and once she saw an opening, she'd defeat him. As the Demon King, she had to assert her dominance, and there was no time to rest. She sighed with resolve. As usual, she arrived in the forest the next day, but was immediately confused by what she saw. Yu was acting strangely. He greeted her cheerfully and asked for help carrying the futon. In the next moment, both of them were lying on it. She was stunned, unable to comprehend what she was doing there, but Yu was enjoying himself, comfortably nestled into the futon. She shouted in disbelief while he calmly explained that he just wanted her to rest properly. She looked at him, irritated, realizing he was acting just like her own subordinates, trying to make her sleep when she was supposed to be keeping an eye on him. If she slept, she'd lose. Then he pulled out a flower and said he bought it to help her relax, calling it a lullaby for her. Abyss clenched her jaw in frustration, not understanding how she was being manipulated so easily by a child, determined not to sleep. But when he gently patted her head and told her his grandfather used to do the same for him, saying it helped him sleep peacefully, she began to drift off. It felt familiar, like someone used to pat her like that in the past. Some time later, she woke up with a jolt, shocked and unable to understand how she'd fallen asleep. It was utterly humiliating. And yet, she did feel slightly better. Looking around and not seeing you, she glanced down to find him asleep, holding her hand. She stared at his peaceful face, recognizing another opportunity to strike, but decided to let it go just this once and wait for a better time. Then gently she kissed his forehead and closed her eyes again, only to wake up in the middle of the night, startled. This morning, the entire area is soaked in rain, and Abyss believes she should have stayed home. As she ventures deeper into the jungle, a sudden shock strikes her. She shouts for the hero, but then immediately steps into a puddle. Turning around, she hears someone call her master. At first she thinks it is a mud monster holding a sword, but soon realizes it is you. It is clear that he is undeterred by the rain and continues his training regardless. Abyss, trying to maintain her distance, finds herself caught off guard when you jumps toward her, splashing both of them in the process. The two of them stand in the mud, staring at each other, momentarily frozen in shock. Without thinking, Abyss drags him to the river to clean him off. She is angry, questioning what he is thinking by training in such conditions, but you, though embarrassed, insists that he can wash himself. She, however, insists that he needs to clean his back as well. As she washes him, a thought crosses her mind. This is her chance to strike. A hit from behind would be the perfect final attack, but as she looks at him, something inside her stops her. She is caught off guard by his innocence and cuteness, which makes her hesitate. Trying to pull away, she is met with Yu's concern. He asks her what is wrong, but Abyss, not wanting to explain, tries to push him away even more. That is when Yu notices a large wound on her side. His eyes widen in shock as he looks at the injury, asking her what has happened. Abyss quickly turns away, telling him not to stare at it. She can't help but feel disappointed when she sees the wound. Every time it catches her eye, memories of the brutal battle for the throne resurface. It is the moment she has proven herself worthy to become the Demon King. But now that very wound has become a symbol of her weakness. It makes her feel inexperienced, unworthy of her title. If she doesn't improve, she fears she'll never be worthy of being the Demon Lord. As Yu continues to ask her about the wound, Abyss finds herself filled with anger and determination. She clenches her fists, vowing to prove her worth by defeating him. But then, to her surprise, Yu smiles and says that her wound is something awesome. He goes on to explain that it is a wound of honor, a mark of having fought and endured. Abyss, though still skeptical, smiles at his praise. She can't help but feel a surge of warmth at his words, despite her desire to remain indifferent. Yu, filled with enthusiasm, declares that one day he hopes to earn a wound like hers, one honor earned by fighting the Demon King. Abyss can't help but tease him, telling him to try defeating a slime first, but deep down she can't shake the thought of his soft skin and the idea of possibly causing him harm. She can't even imagine giving him a wound like the one she carries. Frustration builds within her as she wrestles with these conflicting emotions. She knows she needs to focus on becoming stronger, on not hesitating when the time comes to defeat him. But for now, her internal struggle continues, and the fight within herself persists. The following day, Yu decides to undertake a survival training exercise. Abyss, curious, asks him what that entails. Yu explains that he will be spending an entire week in the forest with no help. He mentions someone named Null, but Abyss, confused, asks him who that is. Yu, eager to start, tells her not to interfere and that he needs to do this on his own. With that, he begins running off, waving at her as he leaves. Abyss smirks, watching him go. She thinks to herself that the monsters of the forest will show no mercy to intruders. The forest is dense and confusing, making it easy for someone to get lost. She imagines the hero begging for help as he struggles, but she doesn't need to step in. He'll likely perish on his own. After all, according to the Demon King's teachings, she should witness the hero's end, though she won't admit she cares at all. Still, she continues following him, just to keep an eye on things. Yu, noticing her, tells her once more not to interfere. Abyss replies that she just wants to watch. When Yu begins setting up his camp, preparing to light a fire, he becomes startled and runs away, frightened by a spider's web. Abyss can't help but be amused, but her amusement only deepens when he moves on to the next challenge, fishing. Yu struggles with it, and Abyss advises him to use a net, but he stubbornly insists that Null Sama has told him to use a harpoon instead. Abyss is growing more intrigued by this Null figure, but she yells at Yu, urging him to slow down while fishing. Yu shouts back that it isn't working and that it doesn't make sense to take shortcuts. To be a true hero, he has to do it himself, facing the challenges alone. He doesn't need her help. Abyss, watching him struggle, smirks. She thinks to herself that it is perfectly fine to let him fend for himself. He is bound to self-destruct in this state, and without food, he'll starve. She can just leave him be, and he will most likely fail. But despite that, as she sees him continue to struggle, her hands tremble with the desire to help. She reminds herself, though, that she can't interfere. Eventually, after much effort, Yu manages to catch a fish, and Abyss can't help but feel a small sense of satisfaction. However, she scolds herself, knowing it isn't something to be so happy about. As the night approaches, Yu, exhausted, falls asleep. Abyss watches him, thinking that the outcome isn't surprising. She sighs and carries him on her back, despite not fully understanding why she is doing it. Looking at his peaceful face, she feels a strange sense of happiness, even as she remains frustrated about this mysterious Null. Suddenly, she hears a voice from ahead. Startled, she looks to see a girl standing in front, telling her that she is ruining Yu's training. Abyss, confused, asks the girl who she is. The girl introduces herself as Null, the great sage who guides the hero. Abyss stands frozen, her mind racing. She can't understand how Null knows her identity. As she mulls over the situation, Yu's sleep is disturbed, and he slowly opens his eyes. At that moment, Null rushes to him, hugging him tightly. The sight of this enrages the Demon King, her fists clenching as she glares at the scene. Yu, looking confused, asks when Null returned. She casually replies that she has just arrived. Abyss, unable to contain her fury, shouts at Yu, demanding an explanation. Yu, seemingly unfazed, introduces the girl as the great sage Null. Null further elaborates that her family has been tasked with protecting and training brave souls for generations. Yu, with a bright smile, expresses how happy he is for the hard work he is doing with Null's guidance. Abyss, standing on the side, seethes with anger, seeing just how fond Yu is of Null. The sight of them together fuels her frustration even more. As Null continues to praise Yu's dedication, Abyss can no longer hold back her irritation. She snaps at Yu, asking why he is so cheerful around Null. Yu, however, simply smiles and explains that Null is his guide. He then mentions that his master, referring to Abyss, is also training him. Null, looking at Abyss, asks if she is the master in question. She then, in a calm tone, tells Yu to rest, as she wants to speak with the Demon King alone. With Yu now off to the side, Null walks toward Abyss, her expression serious. Null begins with a warning. She tells Abyss that she will keep the Demon King's identity a secret. Abyss, taken aback, demands to know why. Null calmly explains that her primary concern is Yu's well-being. She warns that if Yu discovers the truth about his master being the Demon King, his heart will break, and his power could spiral out of control. That, Null explains, would only create more problems for both sides. She asks Abyss to stay out of it for Yu's sake. The Demon King, still furious, refuses. She insists that she can't back down from her mission to defeat the hero. She can't give up now, as that is her sole purpose. Null, however, remains calm and doesn't push further, understanding the determination in Abyss's eyes. As the morning comes, both Null and Abyss stand in front of Yu, ready to begin the day's training. The two women lock eyes, both deep in thought, but with different motives. Abyss is frustrated, feeling torn. Why is it that seeing Yu with Null bothers her so much? She is supposed to be there to defeat him, not get emotionally tangled up in his fate. Her internal struggle is evident. On the other hand, Null asks Yu if his master, Abyss, is a scary person. Yu, without hesitation, shakes his head and replies that she isn't scary at all. In fact, he admires her deeply, seeing her as strong, kind, and someone who always helps him. She is an incredibly important person to him. Null, hearing this, becomes more worried. The trust Yu has in Abyss is growing, and she needs to act quickly to separate them before it is too late. She tells Yu that both he and she will be embarking on a journey together. Yu, taken aback, is shocked by the sudden announcement. The little hero is torn, unable to decide between the two women. Null, noticing his confusion, reassures him that the journey is for his own good and that she will be by his side every step of the way. However, before you can respond, Abyss suddenly appears, shouting that there is no need for a journey as he can train right there. Her abrupt appearance shocks you. Null, annoyed by the interruption, tells Abyss not to interfere, but Abyss is resolute, declaring that she is his master and will not let Null have her way. Abyss's thoughts are clear. If Yu goes on a trip with Null, her chances of defeating him will decrease. She has no other intentions than to stop him from leaving. She firmly asks Yu to follow her. Null, equally determined, also urges him to follow her. Yu stands between the two women, utterly confused by their conflicting demands. Their battle of wills escalates quickly, with the two women shouting at each other, speaking in a language the hero can't understand. Their argument grows fierce, the air between them crackling with tension. In a moment of triumph, Null smirks as she holds Abyss back, stating that she doesn't believe Abyss has any real intention of killing Yu. This remark pushes Abyss over the edge, and she grinds her teeth in frustration, thinking that she is the Demon King and will defeat the hero with her own hands. Her anger flares as she prepares to make her move. Yu, feeling overwhelmed by the chaos unfolding around him, shouts at them to stop. His voice cracks with emotion as he blames himself for the situation. Tears well up in his eyes as he laments that he can't make a decision and is failing as a hero. He cries out, torn between the two women and the responsibility weighing on him. Null, hearing his distress, panics, fearing that the stress is causing his powers to spiral out of control. She struggles to keep Abyss from going toward him, but the Demon King, with no choice but to act, unleashes her full power. Her body surges with energy, making it difficult to control, but she rushes toward Yu, embracing him in an attempt to calm him down. Yu, still overwhelmed, looks at her, his gaze falling to her hand injuries. He blames himself again, feeling like he is the cause of everything. Abyss, noticing his guilt, pats his head gently, telling him not to worry. She explains that the injuries she bears are the result of protecting someone important to her, what they call a wound of honor. Her words seem to ease some of his inner turmoil, though he still struggles with the weight of it all. Null, watching from a distance, realizes that the situation is too volatile and that she needs to step back. She acknowledges that Yu needs her, and she turns to Abyss, warning her that they still have unfinished business. Abyss, with her own concerns, knows that the time for conflict isn't now, and she lets Null leave without further confrontation. Yu, still unsure, asks Abyss if she will train him again the next day. She smiles softly, agreeing, but deep down she knows she has lost this round. Abyss is worried about Null, considering her family's role in raising heroes. She wonders if the power heroes gain throughout history is due to their presence. There are too many dark points to investigate, and she needs to do so urgently because it is all about defeating the hero. As she reaches the forest, she tells Yu that she wants to know more about Null. Yu is confused and asks why she is freaking out. Realizing she hasn't prepared an excuse, she suddenly shouts, declaring Null as her rival. She finds it embarrassing to make such a comment. Yu is confused, and Abyss explains that she has seen the fight between them the previous day. She adds that Null's level is an indicator of an opponent who can match her powers, and to prepare for their next encounter, she needs to learn more about her. Yu turns back without replying, and Abyss calls his name with a disappointed tone. He tells her that he doesn't know much about Null and can't help her. He runs off, shouting that he is going to practice on his own. Abyss is shocked by his sudden change and angry at his behavior, thinking that he has started to hate her. She is deeply disappointed. The next day, when she goes to meet him again, he isn't there. Disheartened, she thinks that she can't let herself get discouraged. The reason she has started this is to find his weakness. She realizes it isn't a typical master-student relationship. She wants to defeat the hero. Suddenly, someone grabs her from behind. When she looks back, it is Yu, who asks her not to look back. He then asks her if she prefers to fight Null rather than train with him, or if it is better to have a rival than a student, snobbing her. Abyss apologizes, telling him that her greatest concern has always been his well-being and that she isn't trying to be heroic. In her mind, she reminds herself that, as a Demon King, defeating the hero is a priority. Hearing her words, Yu becomes happy again, dancing and declaring that he is now her pupil. He will practice and become stronger, one day becoming her rival too. Abyss stares at him, thinking that she won't let him reach that point. Meanwhile, someone watches them, thinking that this will be the end for the Demon King. Abyss is becoming increasingly worried. It has been a while since she started acting as the hero's master, but she still can't find the right moment to defeat him. If things keep going like this, she won't have any credibility left with her subordinates. As the Demon King, she knows she has to defeat the hero the next time they meet. Suddenly, a group of men in black gowns surrounds her, and a man walks in, demanding her attention. Abyss recognizes him as Xantz, a Demon King strategist, and she coldly asks what he is doing there. His behavior makes it clear that he doesn't respect her, and she isn't pleased with that. Xantz, with an air of superiority, questions if she truly deserves to be queen. He then shows her a magical ball, stating that he is charging her with being unfit to rule the region. Abyss glares at him, her anger rising. She demands an explanation, grinding her teeth in frustration. She reminds him that she is fulfilling her duties as Demon King and protecting everyone. She demands that he back up his words with evidence. Her subordinates are equally angry, as they know Abyss is protecting them from the hero, and the accusation of her being unfit to rule feels outrageous. Xantz smirks and plays the image from the magic ball, showing a scene of Abyss hugging the hero. This shocks her, causing her to panic. Even her subordinates, who have once trusted her completely, look confused. One of them mentions that it does seem like she is really close to the hero. Abyss immediately shouts, denying it. She explains it is all part of a strategy, but Xantz isn't convinced and accuses her of lying. He mentions that he has gathered intelligence, and from what he knows, the idea of defeating the hero is a complete lie. He claims that she has developed a close relationship with the hero. The subordinates are starting to believe Xantz, which makes Abyss panic. She realizes that if she doesn't act fast, they will start distrusting her. In an attempt to regain their trust, she shouts that it is all part of a strategy to catch the hero off guard and take him down. But no one seems to believe her. Xantz then points out that she has missed multiple opportunities to kill the hero. He questions if she has developed feelings for him. Abyss is horrified by the accusation. She shouts that it is ridiculous and that she doesn't have any feelings for the hero. Xantz, however, doesn't believe her. He questions why she has been so close to him. Abyss tries to explain that it is just a coincidence, but when Xantz shows more footage of her interactions with the hero, she finds herself with no choice but to surrender. Xantz bows mockingly and tells her that he can't trust her actions anymore, citing Demon Law Article 666. He declares that she will be put on trial for the Demon King's judgment. The next day, the trial of the Demon King begins. Abyss is filled with worry as her subordinates debate her fate. The trial will determine if she is guilty of the charges, and if so, her throne will be stripped away. Voices rise in the chamber, with some subordinates accusing her of deceiving them, claiming it is a great crime. Others, however, defend her, insisting that she hasn't betrayed anyone and that she is innocent. Both sides continue to argue, presenting evidence to support their views. The accusations grow louder, and soon the discussion escalates into chaos. The judge, unable to maintain order, orders them to stop fighting, declaring it a stalemate. He announces that the trial will continue the next day. Xantz, smirking, orders his men to take Abyss back to the prison. As she is escorted away, he thinks about the past, remembering when he fought her and how she spared him. That moment leaves him with a deep sense of humiliation. He grinds his teeth in frustration, vowing that he will finally settle the long-held grudge and become the Demon King himself. In the prison, Abyss is deep in thought, troubled by the division among her subordinates. If the infighting continues, it could lead to internal strife, just like what happened under the previous ruler. The previous ruler created this sanctuary for demons, a place where everyone could live in peace. That had been their dream, and it has become Abyss's dream too. She has taken on the mantle of the Demon King to protect this place and fulfill that vision. But now, faced with doubt and betrayal, she realizes she has to become stronger, just like the previous ruler had been. She needs to be powerful enough to defeat the hero and secure the future of the demons. She clenches her fists in anger, vowing that she can't afford to stop here. Suddenly, a few of her subordinates rush towards her with urgent news. They inform her that General Leon has taken the key from Xantz's subordinates and isn't willing to take advantage of the situation. They show her a shortcut and urge her to hurry to the hero's location. Abyss is confused and asks why they are helping her. One of them explains that despite everything, they believe in her as the Demon King. They request that she defeat the hero and clear everyone's doubts about her leadership. Abyss is shocked by their unwavering trust in her. She realizes that, as the Demon King, it is her duty to protect the demons. She has to defeat the hero, no matter what. On the other side, Xantz is watching, smirking, as he knows this is all part of his plan. When Abyss reaches the hero, Yu is ecstatic to see her and runs towards her, glad that she has returned. He mentions that he thought she wasn't coming back. However, Abyss remains silent, her expression unreadable. Seeing her lack of response, Yu grows worried. Abyss then removes her mask and tells him that she is no longer his master. Abyss, now fully embracing her role as the Demon King, declares to Yu that she is no longer his master, but instead, she is a force to be reckoned with. She is going to defeat him for the sake of the demon race as their king. In her mind, this is her duty, and she has to fulfill it, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, back at the Demon King's castle, her subordinates anxiously await her success, cheering for her in hopes that she will return victorious. Xantz, however, is smirking, confident that Abyss's actions will lead to her downfall. He thinks that her flaunting her relationship with the hero in front of the judge, sneaking out during the trial, and acting out of line will be the nail in her coffin. The Demon King's reign, as he sees it, is coming to an end. Back with the hero, Abyss wastes no time attacking. Yu, confused and in pain, tries to tell her to stop, recognizing that this isn't their usual training session. Abyss smirks, knowing that despite all her training, Yu hasn't shown any progress. In her eyes, this is something to be happy about. She starts punching him relentlessly, her strikes landing without mercy. When Yu is thrown back, coughing up blood in pain, Abyss clenches her fist in frustration, thinking that she can't afford to show any mercy. As the Demon King, she has a duty to fulfill, a promise to her predecessor to protect the demons. Yu trembles, his body racked with pain as he struggles to comprehend the situation. His mind is in chaos. His master, the one he trusted, is the Demon King all along. Desperately, he raises his sword and shouts, accusing her of being ridiculous. Abyss is stunned by the surge of power coming from the hero, realizing that the situation is rapidly spiraling out of control. She remembers Null's warning that the hero's heart will shatter if he learns that someone close to him is actually the Demon King. As Yu's power grows, Abyss's subordinates look on, shocked by the display. Some of them begin to think that Abyss might have been right all along. Xantz, on the other hand, feels a pang of worry as he observes the situation unfold. Abyss is furious with herself. All of this happens because of her own negligence. She has allowed things to go this far, and now, the consequences are unfolding right before her eyes. She sighs, determined to end this now and correct her mistakes. She sees Yu struggling with his powers, his body trembling, and she realizes that he is trying to control them. It is her chance to strike, but as she moves closer, she is caught off guard. Yu, overcome with emotion and confusion, begins to cry. His tears hit Abyss harder than she expects, making her hesitate. She is suddenly overwhelmed by a wave of emotions, and her focus falters. Yu, in a moment of desperation and heartbreak, attacks. His sword strikes her in the stomach, and the Demon King is left gasping in shock. The pain is sharp, and for the first time, Abyss finds herself unsure of what to do next. With a single blow from Yu, the Demon King is thrown back and knocked unconscious. After a while, she regains consciousness, her surroundings unfamiliar. Confused, she tries to understand where she is, only to hear a voice ask if she has awakened. It is Null, the great sage. Null explains that she has treated Abyss's wounds while she was unconscious, though it hasn't exactly been by choice. She then motions for Abyss to look at something. As they both gaze down from a cliff, Abyss's eyes widen in shock at the scene below. The city is in ruins. She is horrified and demands to know if the hero is responsible. Null confirms that the hero's powers have gone out of control, wreaking havoc for 3 days and nights. Abyss is in disbelief. The gentle hero she knows is capable of such destruction? Null then tells her that only she can stop him now. As Abyss tries to process this, she asks how the hero has gained so much power. Is it the same as before, the way he gained strength last time? Back at the Demon King's castle, her subordinates are in panic, sensing the hero approaching. Xantz, acting as the Demon King's proxy, orders them to prepare for battle, but the moment they feel Yu's aura, they are paralyzed with fear. Xantz, undeterred, tells them to attack, but before they can act, Yu strikes with a single blow, causing the entire castle to tremble. The subordinates are terrified and realize that their plan is falling apart. Xantz orders them to retreat to the fortress. As chaos unfolds, one of the subordinates begs Xantz for help as the hero approaches with overwhelming power. In that moment, Abyss appears, lifting a massive stone and using it to protect her subordinates. They cheer with relief, happy to see that she is alive. She orders them to run away and leave this on her, The subordinates obey, fleeing as instructed. Abyss, remembering Null's words, realizes that the hero has once responded to her voice, which means his heart isn't completely broken. There is still a chance to bring him back to his senses. But as she rushes to face him, she realizes that the plan is flawed. His power is growing stronger by the second, and if she gets too close, he will kill her. Her subordinates cheer her on, urging her not to give up, but she can feel the weight of the situation. If this continues, the entire demon race will be destroyed. Her voice isn't reaching you anymore, and she knows she has no choice but to take drastic action.
Here I am, know it's been a while.